Hey, what is up, guys? And God bless America, you are watching Fine Tuning. So I've been gone for a pretty long while, and I'm sure some of you are wondering, why did you drop off the face of the planet, Lucas? Well, boy, have I got a story to tell. If you want the too long, didn't read version, I'll give you that real quick. At the beginning of this year, I had major gastrointestinal abdominal surgery, like in January, and there were multiple complications with said surgery that I did not finish with until very recently. So it's like the past 6 months of my life have been super rough. I'm about to describe all of that from the front to the back, but if you just want to know real quick, yeah, I had major surgery. I'm okay now. I'm going to get back to work. See you guys later. Okay, so if you want to actually hear the details, let's get into it. So I have, or I guess would be more accurate to say had, a disease, an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis. Now, I haven't talked a ton about this on my channel, not because I'm embarrassed or anything like that, but it's just not something I think, it's kind of an invisible disease and it's kind of hard to explain to people, but I'm going to do my best to describe it for you here. So ulcerative colitis is an autoimmune disease that causes inflammation in the inside of your colon or your large intestine. The problem is if you develop a major inflammation in that area, it gets super angry and it just tries to clear everything out. And mine did that like a lot. Mine was pretty severe for many years. In fact, let me just give you a real quick kind of history timeline of me and this disease. So when I was 18 years old, this is about halfway through my freshman year in college, I noticed that I was having a lot of stomach pain, cramps, and I was having to go to the bathroom more often than usual. I thought maybe I had a stomach bug or food poisoning or something, and then it just persisted. And it was like no matter what medicine I took or how much I slept or changed my diet or whatever, it just kept on, and it never got any better. And then over the course of the next year, from about 18 to 19, as I was unable to manage the condition, even after seeing several doctors, my health started to really deteriorate because I was hesitant to eat because anything I would put into my body would feel like it would just immediately come back out. And I just felt bad, and it was depressing and embarrassing. And so I got to where I was about 175 pounds when I went into college, which is a normal kind of weight for me. And by the time that year had wrapped around, kind of the beginning of my sophomore year of college, I had dropped down to 135 pounds. So I'd lost about 40 pounds, which on a guy my size, 5'10", is a very slender, kind of emaciated frame. Finally, the local GI doctor decided that, okay, it was worth doing a colonoscopy to check me out. And I had said to him several times, I think I might have ulcerative colitis. I've been reading about this on the internet. I think I might have ulcerative colitis. No, you don't. You don't have ulcerative colitis. So anyway, he goes in there with the camera, and sure enough, he says, okay, yeah, you do have ulcerative colitis. So for a couple of years, I saw that guy, was just trying to do everything I could to keep that under control. But it just really didn't work very well. I did manage to put a little bit of weight back on and get a little more healthy, but I never was able to control the symptoms. Fast forward to 2018. Cora is 2 years old. I'm a newish dad, and we're trying to do a family vacation, and I'm still just battling this disease. And it got to the point where it made me so angry that I felt like I was holding everything back. I was holding my family back and not being able to do the things that I wanted to do with my kids. So I, for the third or fourth time, went to a different GI doctor, a different specialist. And this one was a slightly younger guy. He's maybe around my age or a little older. And he said, well, I want to put you on prednisone for a while, and let's get it under control first. And no doctor had ever given me any kind of steroid anti-inflammatory type thing before. And when he did that, when he put me on the prednisone, I mean, it was like immediate. Within a day, it was like all my symptoms had gone away. And it was like God parted the clouds and shined down a ray of light on me. And at this point, I'm on a maintenance medicine, and my symptoms are in complete, what my doctor called deep remission. So I had no symptoms of colitis at all. It was completely managed. I just had to take a medicine once a day that was just an oral medicine. It was really easy. Seemed to have no side effects. We're all good. In 2023, I went to have my sort of routine every 2-year colonoscopy thing. And my doctor does biopsies while he's in there just to check things. And I get a call, and he says, we found low-grade dysplasia. Dysplasia is just abnormal cell growth that is not cancer, but if left untreated, will most likely become cancer eventually. That's a problem, right? So we want to deal with that. So he says, what I want to do is send you and have you do another version of this colonoscopy with a special dye, and it'll show us where the dysplasia is. If it's an area that I can get out with my little lasso thing, I'll go ahead and take it out. I wake up and he says, all right, so the area was too big for me to get out. But I'm going to send you to this other doctor, and we're going to do a special procedure with these little micro blades, and he's going to go in there and kind of cut underneath it and take it out. So this is multiple procedures. This is all happening over 2024 at this point. He goes in, and then I wake up, and he says, okay, so like the scar tissue from your inflammation from all these years is too deep. I cannot get it out. And that's about the time I kind of stopped making YouTube videos, because I'm just really stressed, and it's hard to be creative or do any of this stuff when you've got this kind of load of things on your plate. So I know what that means is that I'm going to need to have my colon removed. And it means I'm going to need to have a major surgery, at least 2, if not 3 major surgeries. I make an appointment to talk with a surgeon about it. I go and talk to her, and she says, yeah, what we're going to do is try to do it in a 2-step, but what it's going to mean is I'm going to remove your colon, and we're going to stretch your small intestine to connect to your rectal cuff, create this thing called a J pouch. But in between the surgeries, you're going to need to have an ostomy bag while everything heals, and then we'll go back and reverse that. And it'll need to be 2 steps, if not maybe 3, depending on how bad it looks in there. I have young children, and I have a career that I'm trying to do, and all these different things, and this just seems like a nightmare to me. It was really rough. She says, we can schedule this kind of whenever you want to. I'd like to do it within maybe 6 months or something. So I talked to Heather, my wife, if you don't know, and we decided to do it in January, kind of right after the beginning of her 2nd semester of school, teaching high school. And so that way we can, kind of have some FMLA there. She can take some time off and watch with the kids and handle all that stuff while I'm in the hospital recovering. Because they told me it would probably be a 2 to 4 week recovery from that first procedure before I started to feel kind of manageable again. Oh, how I did not know. About a week before my surgery, I go to do the pre-op appointment with my surgeon, who was fantastic, by the way. And she talks to me and she says, I've been looking at your file, and I've been reading a lot of research that's come out within the past 6 months or something. And I think you are, because your area is of dysplasia and inflammation is really limited to 1 point. She says, I think what we maybe want to try with you is what's called an ileorectal anastomosis. And I'll put up a chart right here, a diagram right here of what the normal colon looks like and then what the ileorectal anastomosis looks like. But basically what it means is, rather than cut off the colon at the ileum, which is the end of the small intestine, and then just connect that directly to the rectal cuff, which is like, a straight shot, and then have like a J pouch turned around thing, and have to have all these surgeries in the ostomy bag. She says, it'd be 1 step, and we're going to leave your rectum, which is about the last foot of your colon. And the advantages to this would be, 1, it's a 1-step procedure. 2, retaining that extra length of colon, because one of the things your colon does is absorb water, is going to make it so that your bowel movements are more normal than they would be otherwise. So this is like a big quality of life thing in a couple of ways. And for me, that felt like just an absolute godsend to get that news from her. I thought that's incredible, because I had prepared myself for months to have to do months and months and months of surgery and recovery. So I go in and have the surgery, and they put me to sleep. I'm terrified. This is like a huge surgery. They put me to sleep, and then I wake up, and I'm all like, blown up with air from the laparoscopic thing. But they come in and they say, your surgery went well. We got everything out. There was no major problems. You just need to wait here for a while and recover. You'll be here for 5 or 6 days. Within a day or so, my kind of bowels had not really woken back up yet, which is not uncommon. And it was blocked enough that I started to have these huge, it felt like hiccups, but it had, there was nowhere for anything to go. And so it felt like it was pushing up this way, whatever this force is. And eventually to the point where it was incredibly painful. And then I started throwing up, bile and stuff, because it had no way to clear itself out. This is probably 9:30 at night or something. And they have to come in and have these nurses put in an NG tube while I'm completely conscious, by the way. So an NG tube, if you've never had one before, is they take a tube and they run it through your nose, up through your cavity, down your throat, all the way down your esophagus into your stomach. And then they hook that up to a pump on the wall, and that starts pumping this fluid out of your stomach and your small intestine and everything, so it doesn't get backed up. That was one of the worst things ever. I had to have that tube in for a couple of days, basically, until it stopped putting out as much output. So they finally get that out. That was the rough part too, having them. Ugh. And we get to the point where they kind of come and look at everything, and they're saying, okay, we think now we can send you home and, you know, take your diet easy first. We're gonna eat really soft stuff, be easy. And then within about 2 days of being home, I get to where I'm having lots of pain. Down in this area, I'm having a lot of pain. I feel like I can't eat anything. I feel a little bit nauseous. And then I can't keep anything down, and so I start getting really dehydrated. So finally, at night, it's bad enough after a couple of days that we've got to go kind of make an emergency readmission to the hospital. Like, all right, we got to do some tests. So they run me through the CT scan for the, I don't even know how many time, and they find in my lower abdomen down here, I have a pretty large abscess. And they say, okay, that's not a big deal. What we're gonna do is put a surgical drain in there and let that drain that abscess out, and you keep it for a little bit, and then we'll take the abscess back out, or the drain back out. So they put the drain in. I'm there for several days kind of as they monitor things. And as they do that, they also find that I had developed a blood clot in the portal vein of my liver. Then at that point they say, all right, well, the clot looks like it's maybe stabilized a little bit, but we need to put you on blood thinners. So I'm on blood thinners at this point too. So after I'm there for about a week, I've still got the drain in. You know, it's coming into my skin right here. It's this tube. I'll put pictures of this up. And I have to go home with the drain in my lower abdomen. It's very sensitive. I mean, it's, you know, it's a tube run through your skin into your guts, and it's held there by a single stitch in your skin. It's awful. Just, I'm on awful shape and I feel terrible and whatever. So I've dropped like 20 pounds. I'm in rough shape. I'll put some pictures up of me looking like a skeleton. So they send me home, and I'm trying to eat really lightly. I'm being really gentle. You know, it's like a piece of French toast or some oatmeal or something, really easy stuff. And I can feel, as I eat it, I can feel it go through my digestive tract in my stomach. I can feel it go this way. And then when it gets to here, I can feel it. It's extremely painful. So I have to go back to the hospital again. I call my surgical team people, and they say, all right, come back. So I go to the hospital, they do another CT, and they go, okay, so now you have an abscess here. And the reason you have an abscess here is because your gallbladder is so inflamed, so angry, that it's become necrotic and gangrenous. And my gallbladder is basically like dead at this point. So then they say, we got to put in more surgical drains. I'm like, oh no, I've been dealing with for a week and a half or something, this one here. It's miserable. So they say, we're going to put in 2 surgical drains now. We're going to put one in the abscess and then one in your gallbladder. And then the gallbladder one will stay until we can remove your gallbladder. We need to remove your gallbladder. See, the problem is I had just had a very major abdominal surgery not long before, 3 weeks before or something. And they don't want to do another surgery after that because everything in there is still so fresh and kind of stuck together that they risk making it worse. So what needs to happen is I need to keep that drain in the gallbladder for a while so that it doesn't cause me any more issues until everything else can heal, and then we'll come back and do that second surgery. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty run down. Not just physically, but mentally. Like, I mean, it's exhausting to have to do weeks and weeks at a time in the hospital. And then when we got home, I can't remember if it was the second time or the third time, one of our dogs, Oliver, our Chihuahua that we've had for about 14 years, died, which was just awful. This all happened around Heather's birthday, by the way. At this point in the hospital, I have this drain here, and I have 2 drains here. And by the way, when they put this drain in, you know, they did give me some sedative, and like I could feel the pressure. It was uncomfortable, but like it wasn't that bad. These 2, they did not give me enough sedative despite my protesting. And I felt as that doctor pushed this giant needle in between my ribs, through my liver, into my gallbladder. And I mean, it was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. It was like traumatic how painful it was. Just, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. This one, they decide, is done, so they pull it out. One of the weirdest feelings of all time, by the way, if they pull something like that out of you. I mean, it's this big, long tube. It's just bizarre. And they say, okay, you got these 2 drains. We're going to send you home. We want you to keep track of how much those are outputting. You know, empty them however often you need to empty them. Keep track of how much when you do it. Okay, And then as that stuff starts to get better, then we'll talk about removing those drains. So then they send me home, and I'm actually, other than this is very uncomfortable, much better now. Like, things are starting to work. I'm not in a lot of pain anymore. I have these drains in my side. I can only sleep on my back or on my left side. I've got to be really careful. I can't be next to my wife in the bed like usual because we might accidentally get tangled up or something. So I've got this blow up air mattress that I've put in our living room that I'm sleeping on for weeks because I need to sleep by myself, basically. Weeks turn into months, and they did, after a couple of weeks or a month or something, they did remove the abscess drain because it quit doing anything. But the gallbladder drain, basically I went and had an appointment about that with this other surgeon. She said, we need to keep the drain in until we take your gallbladder out. So they put the drain in February 10th, and I had to keep it in until the day of my gallbladder procedure, which was, I think, April 24th. So it was something like 10 weeks or something like that of living with this in my side. And it was just one of the worst experiences of my life. It was so sensitive and off-putting, difficult to look at. Every time I would take a shower, we'd have to like change all these bandages, and I have basically an open wound, and there's a stitch holding this tube in, and I mean, God, it was just like, and it got to the point where it was so sensitive that I had to be kind of like careful not to get it caught on anything or have one of the kids catch it. So I got to where I was kind of walking around with my arm like this on my side, holding this thing down and kind of leaning a little bit. And that was a habit I had to break. So fast forward to April 24th, I go in for my gallbladder surgery. The surgery ahead of mine takes like way too long for some reason, and I end up, I'm fasted for nearly 24 hours or something, and I'm in rough shape when they finally wheel me back to the OR. They get me on the table, knock me out and everything. I wake up, she says, okay, your gallbladder surgery went fine. No complications, no drains. Just stay overnight, and then we're gonna send you home. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't let anything else go wrong. This has been like a huge endeavor for me. But then as they send me home, I start to recover, things start to get better. I'm feeling more like myself. I start to put a few pounds of weight back on, like in a healthy way. I'm starting to kind of get some of my body water and supply and stuff back. So this has been a long, arduous process for me, to the point that today is, I'm recording this on July the 1st. And it wasn't until Thursday or something of last week that I had my last follow-up appointment about all that stuff, about about my blood clot thing. So I'd been on blood thinners for about 6 months. So finally they said, okay, you should be good. All that's stabilized. You can stop the blood thinners. Praise Jesus. Okay, so let's talk about what that means for me now in my life. As I said, I had an ileorectal anastomosis, which is to say they jumped my ileum, the end of my small intestine, kind of directly to my rectum, which is about the last foot of your colon. So that last foot serves as the reservoir for the matter that needs to leave. What that really means more than anything is that I don't absorb as much water as I used to. So I have to be a little more cautious about making sure that I stay hydrated and stuff like that. And also it just means that I kind of have to go to the bathroom more often than I would have before. Not like when I had full-blown inflamed colitis by any stretch, but more often than I would before. And it will continue to improve, the longer I heal. It's only been about 6 months since I had the main procedure. So it's really incredible what the human body can do. I mean, they removed 2 pretty large major organs from me, and I'm still getting up and getting around and functioning like a pretty normal adult. Honestly, it's incredible. My quality of life right now is pretty close to as good as it was before. And if anything, I would say that I didn't realize that my gallbladder, I think, had been causing me problems for years. I guess I should have, because a lot of people in my family have had to have their gallbladder removed. My dad, my aunts, my grandpa, a lot of people. And the other thing that I guess is maybe kind of a happy side effect is that having to do all that and going through these large periods of not eating anything and calorie deficits and then all this, I lost a bunch of weight. And it's put me back now about where I was when I was like a senior in high school or a freshman in college or something, which is great. And now I'm in a place where I can kind of maintain my normal kind of body's happy weight, which is just like amazing. What a pleasant side effect from everything else. Okay, like I'll call that a win. Don't do that, but I'll call that a win. So now I want to talk a little bit about the channel and the rest of this year, kind of my plans for this year. I'm going to go back to kind of just what I like here, which is I'm going to make some videos where I do reviews and demos of things that I'm interested in or that I enjoy. And I'm going to do some more tutorials about how to do certain repairs or modifications, or maybe we'll talk about pedal boards and things like that, things I'm passionate about and I have some information to share. I'm also thinking about doing some videos where I give you my thoughts in terms of the music industry as a whole, or maybe what's happening in the guitar industry specifically, that kind of thing, some philosophies that I've developed over the years of playing guitar, both as a studio musician and a gigging musician and a do-it-all-yourself kind of guy. Here and there, I'm going to start doing something a little bit extra and see if you guys dig it or not. My great hobby, aside from playing guitar, recording music, all that stuff, is video games. I love video games. Particularly, I like story-based games, RPGs and stuff like that, single player experiences. I love that stuff. So I thought I might look into maybe doing a little like Lucas's video game corner, maybe like once a month or something, where I talk about something that I really enjoy and that I recommend if you're a game person that you go play. So if you guys like that, let me know. I'll give it a try and we'll see how it goes. As far as other things I'm going to be doing on the channel and just in general this year is I've developed some really cool relationships with some companies that I like a lot, like PRS. I've got a really cool relationship there. I have also got an awesome relationship with Blue Guitar and Thomas over there. I mean, I love that stuff. So I'll be showing you some things, not just as they come out with new things, but also I'm just going to really show you some stuff that I love about my Amp 1s because I've been using them for a while and there's like a lot of cool expert features you can use. And I've got a relationship also with Z-Sounds or Zounds, however you say it, where I'm going to be kind of working with those guys to send me just some gear that I'm interested in trying out, and I'll give you my thoughts and then I'll send it back and try something else, which would be cool because that means I don't have to buy everything. That makes it a lot easier when somebody can just send me something, loan it to me, let me do a video, and then I'll send it back. So I'm excited to do that. And then musically, project-wise, I kind of have like 3 projects that I'm sort of working on right now. If I haven't mentioned this before, I play guitar and produce and write music for Josh Sanders, who was the first runner-up on season 25 of The Voice. Josh and I have been friends for a long time. We used to work together. And for the past like year or so, maybe almost a year and a half, we've been writing and working on stuff. We recorded an EP here in my studio, so that's going to be coming out pretty soon. In fact, I'm going to be at the Field and Stream Festival in Winsboro, South Carolina in October, I think October 3rd. And we're going to be opening up on the same stage as ZZ Top. So that's like a huge thing for me. I'm super excited about that. InterTwyneD has got some tracks that need to be recorded. I'm going to try to get on that this year, get the guys together. It's a little harder because we all live far apart, but we're going to try to get together and record some more tracks. And then the new thing for me this year is I have put together what I would call like a solo project group. And it's some great friends of mine that I've been playing with for years. And we're going to get together and I'm going to write kind of an album myself, rather than so often I would consider myself a co-writer. InterTwyneD or Josh, what do we all kind of collaborate and write things. This is going to be just Lucas is going to sit down and write all the parts more or less. And then I'm going to try to record either an EP or maybe a full-length album as just kind of a solo release. Also, just to point out, if you haven't noticed, I got a new camera, so now I'm shooting in 4K like an adult. And so I'm going to be hopefully bringing you some higher quality footage now. I shot in that 1080p stuff for a really long time, and it looked good when I started. I started using that camera in 2017 or something. It looked great then. But now, in the year of our Lord 2025, 1080p does not cut it, even on YouTube. So now we're shooting in 4K. And then finally, because I know this has just been a long, rambling video, I just want to do a few thank yous and shout outs. So first of all, the biggest thank you and shout out goes out to my wife and my family for just really stepping up and taking care of not only me, but all the things that I usually do. I just cannot thank my wife and my family and my friends enough for all the things that they contributed. Oh, a big one. This is I should mention this. When I was having a really rough time after I found out I was going to have to wait a longer time to get surgery, I was just feeling not good. Thomas Blug somehow was, I guess, coincidentally talking to Andy Timmons, who is a huge influence on me. I love Andy Timmons. And then I got this beautiful video message from Andy Timmons in my email, just kind of wishing me well and just saying, hey, and it was just exactly what I needed in that moment to get me up off the couch and go like, nah, man, you're going to get through this. Andy Timmons is checking on you. You're going to get through this. And I was like, I'm going to get through this. So thanks to Thomas for setting that up and Andy for sending me that beautiful message. It made me feel a lot better in a time that I was really, really down. Shout out to my really, really fantastic surgeons and the nursing team on the 6th floor there in the hospital that took care of me multiple times, and all the people who have helped me build myself back up to where I am now. So I couldn't have done it without any of those people, and I'm so grateful to be back in front of the camera doing stuff again, and back on stage again, playing shows and making music, and just being able to pick the kids up and pick the trash bag up and put it in the car, and, you know, little stuff that you take for granted. So I'm feeling very grateful. And now I can officially say that I am 100% cured of ulcerative colitis, because I no longer have a colon to itis. In fact, you might even say that I have a semicolon, because there's part of it left. So I'm really excited to get back to work with all these things, you know, that I've got lined up, and I'm feeling like a human being again, and I'm grateful to be alive and sucking air. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any suggestions for stuff you'd like to see me do, or any questions about any of this, just leave it in the comment section below. Or just say, hey, you know, that'd be cool. I'd like to know you're still out there. Give me a little interaction. Until the next time, which hopefully will not be very long this time, I will catch you guys later.